And that involves WNBA coach. Her name is Cheryl Reeve. She's a coach in the WNBA. She is the coach of the Minnesota Lynx. And during this weekend, in a game against the Indiana Fever, she was seen wearing a Trans Kid Belong t-shirt.
Stop whatever you are currently doing and pay close attention, because professional women's basketball has descended into sheer chaos. The most prominent figure in sports broadcasting just delivered a devastating reality check on live TV, triggering a massive fallout. This wasn't merely a difference of opinion. It was a calculated unmasking of the league's shadowy undertones that prompted global icon Caitlin Clark to break her usual demeanor, storm into executive headquarters, and insist on a veteran coach's immediate dismissal. For quite a while, we've witnessed the intense, poisonous uproar surrounding Indiana Fever standout Sophie Cunningham, complete with fierce protests and a brutally hostile atmosphere. Yet, instead of shielding athletes and quelling the uproar, Minnesota Lynx commander Cheryl Reeve supposedly fueled the fire, pushing Stephen A. Smith past his breaking point. A newly surfaced clip of Smith has rocked the internet, with a headline accusing Reeve of prioritizing her ego over the association. That blistering critique was just the start of Reeve's troubles. Just as she figured the media storm might pass, Clark entered the fray, completely flipping the script by exposing the coach's alleged motives, fiercely defending her teammate Cunningham, and formally pressing for a league-mandated ban.
You can't be a male, born a male, transitioning to female, and think that you should have the right to compete with women. Not in basketball, not in football, not in boxing, not in the UFC. Hell, not even in tennis. It's an aberration when you find somebody like a Serena Williams serving 120 miles, 25 miles an hour. That's ordinary for Jokic or Djokovic. That's ordinary for Sinner. That's ordinary for Alcaraz. That was ordinary for Sampras, Agassi, and all of these guys.
You will want to hear every single detail of this breakdown as we analyze Stephen A. Smith's fiery broadcast, the undeniable evidence of Cheryl Reeve's problematic past, Clark's daunting ultimatum, and the league's complete inability to manage this crisis. To comprehend why the athletic community is in absolute uproar, we must examine the inferno Smith ignited on national television. The WNBA landscape was already remarkably toxic, with the Sophie Cunningham saga dominating daily news cycles. Rather than demonstrating leadership, Smith alleges that Reeve actively stoked the controversy. Trembling with sheer outrage on his program, the legendary broadcaster didn't merely critique her tactical decisions, he systematically shredded her character for the whole world to see. He loudly condemned the situation as disgraceful, arguing that instead of protecting an active competitor like Cunningham from poisonous chatter, Reeve was placing personal grudges and political posturing above the welfare of the sport. Smith revealed the hidden agenda, suggesting that seasoned coaches are weaponizing off-court drama to shatter the Indiana Fever's locker room harmony, since they remain utterly powerless to contain Caitlin Clark during actual games. He labeled it a pathetic maneuver by a veteran terrified of basketball's evolving landscape. However, the situation gets even wilder when you dig into the archives. If you assumed this was Reeve's first time crossing the boundary, you would be mistaken. Despite the establishment's efforts to shield her, records reveal that during a crucial late 2025 postseason matchup against the Phoenix Mercury, the coach suffered a complete meltdown that resulted in an official one-game ban.
The sea or whatever else you want to come up with. What the hell are you talking about? It's not true. It is false. AJ DeBonza, not to throw his name out there, Darren Peterson, hell, pick a scrub. If you're a male and transitioning to female, you should be playing against the women. Nobody said you can't transition from male to female. The issue here is competing against the women. That's what Sophie Cunningham was talking about. That's what Riley Gaines is talking about. How are you, Coach Cheryl Reeve, and you could condone that? and then you gonna come out with a t-shirt. No regard for the WNBA. No regard for the sponsors that may be put off by that. No regard for the bottom line that might be affected because of a position that she has taken that you know is going to be politicized, because that's what you did. No regard for that whatsoever. How is that okay?
The grounds for that prior disciplinary action were completely indefensible. League officials penalized her for relentlessly chasing and verbally assaulting a referee, declining to exit the playing floor, and hurling wildly unprofessional remarks at the spectators in attendance. This reveals a leader with a verified penalized track record of surrendering to her fury and behaving recklessly whenever circumstances defy her wishes. Therefore, when Stephen A. Smith utilized his platform to accuse her of narcissism, he wasn't fabricating a narrative. He was referencing a lengthy timeline of Cheryl Reeve elevating her immense pride above the game's honor. This time around, however, she targeted the wrong individual. By going after Sophie Cunningham, she inadvertently summoned the wrath of Caitlin Clark. Assuming Smith was her primary adversary was a grave miscalculation on Reeve's part, as Clark had been monitoring the escalating tension and finally reached her breaking point. Attacking Clark's inner circle is an unforgivable offense. Throughout the current campaign, Clark and Cunningham have forged a resilient, impenetrable friendship, emerging as a phenomenal pair both during games and in their personal lives. We witnessed this genuine camaraderie firsthand during their pre-game routines just a few days prior on August 2nd, where they were laughing so hard that Cunningham playfully smacked Clark's backside to get her energized for tip-off. They operate as sisters and a united family. Witnessing this manufactured hostility directed at her closest ally, Clark bypassed the standard public relations maneuvers and generic social media posts to launch a full-scale offensive for her friend. According to highly placed insiders, the superstar bypassed the press corps, walked directly into the highest echelon of WNBA management, and laid bare the entire toxic reality, demanding that executives penalize Reeve for letting this hazardous climate spiral out of control.
Clark, probable with her back. Sophie Cunningham, questionable right elbow. When the hell did that happen? When did that pop up? Did it pop up after she posted that graphic from Evelyn about going rogue on her Instagram and Caitlin Clark commented on it? Is that when this happened? Indiana Fever? Everybody knows that you guys are attempting to punish Sophie Cunningham. We all know it. We all see it. This is ridiculous. Look at the first comment, Evelyn. You guys are a clown organization. Here it says, Sophie hurt her elbow writing this for Stephanie White, didn't she? This is what Sophie Cunningham had. I will not pass to Caitlin again. I will not pass to Caitlin Clark again. This is what they forced Sophie Cunningham to do. Okay, that's how she hurt her elbow. CDS Sports, go rogue, win game, end up on injury report. Beatings will continue until morale improves. This is ridiculous, guys. This is ridiculous. Everybody knows this is clearly punishment for Sophie Cunningham. Chloe Peterson was the first to report on it. She said, Sophie Cunningham is questionable with a right elbow injury for tomorrow's game. She participated in the portion of practice open to the media this morning. Okay. And everybody knows the whole, every comment is that this is punishment. Look here, Sophie being put in timeout for speaking what's on her mind. Okay, punishment for inbound passing to Caitlin Clark instead of Kelsey Mitchell. Stephanie White needs to go. Okay, did it happen on the drawn up play at the end? This organization is like the mafia. So everyone knows, it's clear as day that this is punishment for Sophie Cunningham. It's very, very, very obvious that this is punishment for Sophie Cunningham. The organization is a straight up clown show at this point. And then not only that, they have not addressed the smear campaign. They've gone out of their way to address any and everything else. They refuse to address the smear campaign led by Dan Dockich, who has been adamant about he's getting this information from the inside. Not only have they not addressed that, and he doubled down on it today. Dan Dockich was bombing.
That bold confrontation completely paralyzed the association's leadership, acting as the ultimate draw for the sport. The very phenomenon generating unprecedented viewership and massive revenue. Caitlin Clark reportedly stared down the top brass and delivered a crushing directive: issue a suspension. You heard that correctly. The undisputed face of the franchise is advocating for Cheryl Reeve to be benched immediately. Clark essentially warned the higher-ups that permitting experienced coaches, especially those with prior behavioral infractions, to silently champion the bullying of athletes like Sophie Cunningham would spell the demise of the organization's current golden era. She brilliantly highlighted the glaring double standard, noting that any active roster member exhibiting Reeves' behavior would face severe financial penalties and immediate expulsion. The message was unmistakable. Fail to discipline this coach, and you will spark an overwhelming uprising, because she refuses to remain passive while a flawed hierarchy tears down her teammate. Consequently, the front office is experiencing an unprecedented meltdown. They are entirely devoid of solutions. Disregarding the combined voices of Clark and Stephen A., Smith would isolate the most lucrative talent they have ever secured, all while broadcasting to the globe that their disciplinary system is deeply compromised.
More than anything, educate, and there are some things that we have in common and maybe some things you differ on, just like any issues. And I think it's how you handle things. And so...
You can pause it right there. I want you to now watch what Caitlin Clark's
nice
coach had to say when she was questioned. This is Caitlin Clark's coach. Okay, go for it.
Your stance on men or athletes who test as biological male participating in women's sports. What's your personal
Watch her answer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I would say that I'm educated enough from a scientific standpoint. I don't ever believe that exclusion is an answer. I just don't.
Oh my.
No, but wait a minute. You got to keep playing it. Is this the only clip we have? Oh, okay.
I think that's it.
Because she says, I used to play with men when I was a kid. I always played with men when I was a kid. And she answers the question like, I'm not a scientist. I'm not this. I'm not that. And then the game's being played yesterday. Sophie Cunningham gets hit in the face by an elbow that pretty much almost like massive foul. They called the foul on her. I don't even know if we can even play this clip or not. If you can see it, but it right there, elbowed in the face. Look at that. Right, do it again.
Whose
on the
fault
elbow.
is that?
Elbow in the face like that, and guess who got the foul? She got the foul, not the girl that went through this. So, Vinny, again, every time you think common sense is making a comeback, they do something like this. How do you react to this story?
And I know Adam's been very passionate about it. And every time Adam was like, I was kind of like in my head, like, give him a chance. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I think it's time to get rid of the WNBA, period, full stop, and I'm dead serious. Okay, I'm sick and tired of them using this. No, Adam, I'm dead serious. Like, they're hemorrhaging money every single year. Every year, how much money they're losing? To $40 million, and they keep it afloat. And I'm sick and tired of this nonsense, this trans nonsense that keeps coming up. Right when you think it's over, it keeps coming back up like a resurfacing like a damn submarine. And in regard to her shirt, trans kids belong where? In the opposite sex bathroom, or in a clinic getting injected with puberty blockers or their breasts getting taken off. You know where trans kids belong? In therapy. Okay, they belong in therapy to find out what happened. Okay, how did you get to this mindset? Who talked to you? Were you on TikTok? Okay, were you talking? Who was influencing you to try to make you feel the way that you do? Okay, that's what we need when it comes to these trans kids, and they belong. Okay, the last thing we need is encouraging.
Conversely, actually dropping the hammer on an established figure like Cheryl Reeve is guaranteed to ignite a bitter internal conflict among the league's traditionalists and long-standing veterans. The executives find themselves trapped in an incredibly daunting predicament, while the international audience observes closely and time runs short. Now, I want to hear your most honest and unfiltered perspectives in the comments section below. Do you believe Stephen A. Smith was entirely justified in dismantling Cheryl Reeve on national broadcasting? Furthermore, must the WNBA heed Caitlin Clark's demands and instantly sideline the Minnesota Lynx commander? Let your passionate opinions be known right now. Strike that like button if you are backing Caitlin and Sophie in this battle. Distribute this clip everywhere to shine a light on Reeve's actual conduct, and absolutely obliterate the subscribe icon for more mind-blowing continuous updates on this basketball drama. I look forward to catching you in the next breakdown.